Bill Chisholm and his group of investors have officially taken over majority control of the Celtics. The team's statement confirming previous reports that Wyc Grousbeck is going to remain as an alternate governor and CEO, as well as saying Grousbeck would run day-to-day operations alongside Chisholm. The Boston Globe's Adam Himmelsbach catching up with the pair today. Chisholm said this to the Globe, quote, "The day-to-day operational approach here is the same as it ever was. Wyc and I are arm in arm here, leading the charge with the Celtics. Frankly, the change that needed to be made was more of a league issue." Grousbeck adding, when it became clear the governor title was not going to be available because of technical reasons, because of math, Bill said, well, then we're just not going to use that word around the office. So that says a lot about Bill, that he doesn't care. He just wants to do the right thing for the team, and I feel the exact same way. We are shoulder to shoulder. Boy, they are entwined. Arms, shoulders, they're just one body working together on this. All right, we have Meghan and Kayla here to talk a little Celtics. Kayla, what interests me about this whole setup where Wyc is the alternate governor and he's going to be involved in day-to-day operations, the cynical side of me is like, curious that when the team is going to probably have a down year and they shed a bunch of salaries, they're like, guess who's still running the day-to-day operations? Not the new owner, the old owner.
I think that, I wouldn't say you're not wrong is what I'm trying to say, but I don't think that that's right. And if you, at the end of the day, the title is the title. The league had to do what the league had to do in terms of policy and abiding the policy. But for them to say, hey, we're shoulder to shoulder, this is kind of a check off the box sort of deal, Meg, I think, okay, you like that approach. God forbid, the team has the season that it's, I wouldn't say projected to have, but you don't have some of your superstar players out there, including Jason Tatum and some of the former players that got traded away. This is going to be a let's see kind of outside looking into the scope of what will the Celtics look like. So Wyc could definitely be like, hey, you know what? You got it, man. You're the owner. You are running this show now. I just don't feel like that. And I don't think that's the sense that I'm getting from Wyc Grousbeck individually because of how bought in and his relationship with Jason Tatum. And those two have expressed kind of their love from a business perspective for each other. So I don't see that it's a negative. I actually look at this as more of a positive.
I look at it as this is the new ownership group asking for your vote of confidence. I wrote down same as it ever was, which sounds like a great Talking Heads song, but it's also a way of saying, don't worry, Wic's still here. Brad Stevens is still here. Tatum will be back very soon. By the way, he's in the building like every day, and we'll be back to that championship caliber very soon. So don't check out anybody. Same as it ever was. That's the message I took away from that, whether you take maybe a slightly skeptical idea of we don't want to be fully accountable for having a more of a down year, or you're asking people just to hold on and wait a little bit. It's all about maintaining the identity that they want, which is this is a championship banner hanging Celtics program. That's not changing no matter who's governor or the math problems or whatever you want to say about it.
Yeah, a lot of words there, a lot of words. All right, well, to more basketball ownership news, former Celtics minority owner Steve Pagliuca had agreed to a deal to buy the WNBA's Connecticut Sun. We, of course, with the plan to move him to Boston, but now the future of women's hoops in our town very much up in the air. Pags' plan was met with resistance by the league, which was reportedly upset that Boston had not submitted an expansion bid in the last 3 years. Now we've learned the WNBA has offered to buy the Sun itself for $250 million and would then sell the team and waive the relocation fee, essentially allowing the league to dictate where the team would move. Houston seems to be the front runner. They did have the comments from 1997 to 2008, and they actually won the first 4 WNBA titles, but the team dissolved in 2008, so let's go back there. According to reports, the WNBA would consider a potential Boston team in a later round of expansion, but would prefer Bill Chisholm to be the owner. I have many questions about this. I am really frustrated by this because I think the WNBA is really screwing up here. First of all, so you have an offer for $325 million plus a $100 million investment in a state-of-the-art practice facility in a major television market. in a sports crazy town, and you're like, no. You know what we would rather do, because you didn't fill out the proper paperwork the first couple of times, and we don't like the way that you're going about this. No. We're going to move it to Houston, where we already had a team for 11 years, and it failed after the first 4 or 5 years. So we had to pull the franchise from there and take it somewhere else. But we're going to give it another shot rather than going to a city that has already made its mark, sold out its arena, and has a commitment to bringing a team here. Meg, I do not understand it. I do not understand why the NBA is so adamantly opposed to Steve Pagliuca. I do not know why it's so adamantly opposed to the Boston market. It almost feels like, between this and the way they've handled everything with Caitlin Clark, that they just don't really know how to run a league. Yeah, you mentioned the paperwork part. It feels like this is a power play by the WNBA to say, hey, you can't just go around and then have a report in the Boston Globe saying we're buying this team and we're relocating it to Boston. But why wouldn't you want that? All the things that you just mentioned there, Trenni, those are great things to help out a team for a women's sport that is growing so rapidly in one of the best cities in the world, not just the country, for sports. And on top of it all, like, okay, I like the idea of a team being in Houston, but as you just said there, they've had a team there. They've had a team there. Now, that was a different chapter of the WNBA, so I don't think it's fair to compare one to the other, but they've had a shot. Boston hasn't had the shot. Give them the shot.
You also see the players advocating for this, and not just Boston players. You see Cunningham, who went up to the podium saying, yep, this would be a great city to play basketball here. And if you know Sophie Cunningham, she will speak her mind very candidly. So for her to say that, hello. On top of that, Dejanay Carrington also, a few years ago now, she's shifting all different teams right now, but when she was with the Connecticut Sun playing at the TD Garden, she mentioned they need to have a Boston team. So you're having players advocate for this city, and then you have the guy to go make the deal. And the only argument that I will say is I've been to Mohegan Sun plenty of times, and I know that the Connecticut crowd there, they show up. They show up to those games. Mind you, you bring it to Boston at the TD Garden, 2 consecutive years, Trenni, sold out crowds, 19,000 plus fans making their way into the arena, into the TD Garden. And I just think here's the opportunity. It's almost like going to the DMV and you're saying, oh, you didn't fill out the right paperwork. It's like, okay, but at the end of the day, can I get my license? Can we get this deal done? Because you have the support, you have the crowd. And I know we're Boston media. I know we may be, quote unquote, biased towards that idea. But again, to the outside players who are also saying this is a winning city, it would be so fun, such a palpable experience for a W team to be here. Is the WNBA missing an opportunity? Are they botching this? I think they're not trying to botch it, but I think they're trying to, hey, let's wait. And maybe you guys in 2030, whatever, can have this expansion happen. But I think by not getting it done, they're almost like trying to win-win here, saying, we're not going to say yes right now, but that doesn't mean no. So I think right now for Boston, yeah, it's a botch. I mean, if it doesn't get done for sure, but I think that they're trying to cover themselves for the future if they do get a W team here in Boston. I just don't understand not capitalizing on the momentum right now. That's what I can't wrap my brain around. I think you're so right that the momentum right now is you should go for these big deals in big cities, and they're just wrapping themselves up in red tape. Like, I think that's what we're dancing around. It feels like a power play, and they're hiding behind red tape, and I just think it's foolish. All right, Houston is a big city, but it's not Boston.